power has never belonged to the pure of heart. It has always bent its knee to those who understand that virtue, when displayed, is a costume. In every generation, people crave moral leaders, figures who appear noble, selfless, and righteous. Yet behind every saint that rises to prominence, there stands a strategist who understood that the appearance of goodness is more profitable than goodness itself. The modern world worships perception. It is a digital theater where image triumphs over substance, and where moral posturing has become the new form of manipulation. Those who master the illusion of virtue become untouchable, not because they are just, but because they seem to be. In this world of constant visibility, one's reputation is no longer built on deeds but on narratives. The clever do not waste time proving their integrity, they allow others to do it for them. They build an aura, a public image that projects humility, compassion, and fairness, while behind that facade, they calculate every move for personal advantage. The illusion of virtue is not deceit for its own sake, it is a weapon. It softens enemies, disarms suspicion, and draws trust from the naïve. The powerful understand that humanity craves moral certainty, and so they give it to them, not through truth, but through performance. Social media has become the perfect stage for this act. The powerful curate their lives like a moral exhibition. Charity posts, polished words, acts of kindness captured in perfect lighting. It is not the act that matters, but the broadcast of it. They know people do not question what is seen often enough. The appearance of integrity repeated endlessly becomes accepted as fact. To the public eye, repetition is proof. To the wise, repetition is control. History has always belonged to those who understood how to play both sides of virtue, those who could smile in public and strike in private. In the modern age, this duality is not hypocrisy, it is survival. Those who act with raw honesty, who speak every truth and show every emotion, are devoured by those who manipulate perception. Sincerity is admired but rarely rewarded. Strategy, however, always finds its profit. To survive the game of power, one must learn to separate appearance from action, to say what is expected and do what is required. The illusion of virtue is sustained through restraint. The wise never reveal their true opinions unless they serve a purpose. They learn the art of silence, of selective empathy, of appearing to agree while they prepare their counterstroke. They never expose their ambition openly. Ambition in its raw form invites resistance. Instead, they dress it in the language of service, loyalty, or vision. They claim to act for the greater good, while every step moves them closer to their own gain. The world will forgive deceit if it is draped in noble words. In the digital age, virtue is currency. Every brand, every leader, every influencer understands that people are drawn not to truth, but to emotional comfort. The illusion of moral clarity is sold as authenticity, and people consume it eagerly, never realizing they are being led. The most skillful players are those who allow others to believe in their goodness so completely that even when they commit questionable acts, those acts are reinterpreted as necessary, even righteous. They create such trust that their faults become part of their myth. This is not chance, it is design. To build this illusion, one must first understand people's moral hunger. They want to believe in something pure, someone who represents the light in a world of deceit. Feed that hunger, and you will own their loyalty. They will defend you, justify you, even lie for you. Because when someone believes you are good, they surrender their critical thought. They stop questioning your motives, and that is when control becomes absolute. True power lies not in domination, but in belief. The illusion of virtue is the most elegant form of domination, for it enslaves through admiration rather than fear. Every era produces two kinds of people, those who seek to be good, and those who seek to appear good. The first live by conscience, the second live by calculation. The first suffer in silence, the second rule in comfort. Yet it is the latter who write the rules of civilization. Their legacy endures not because of morality, but because they mastered the theater of it. In their world, good and evil are tools, used to shape perception, to manipulate emotion, to justify conquest. The illusion of virtue demands patience. It is not built overnight. It requires consistency, precision, and understanding of timing. You must know when to show humility and when to display conviction. You must allow others to see just enough of your goodness to blind them to your ambition. The art is to reveal virtue in fragments, never in full light. A perfect image invites suspicion. Imperfection makes it believable. The wise leave small cracks in their character so that others may trust them as human. That trust becomes armor, a shield against accusation. The danger lies only in believing your own illusion. Many who begin as players of virtue become prisoners of their image. They start performing for themselves, trapped in the same delusion they created for others. True mastery is to maintain the separation, to know that the mask is a tool, not an identity. The illusion of virtue must remain under your control, never over it. Those who forget this truth lose themselves in the theater of their own creation, and when the mask cracks, they fall harder than the truly wicked ever could. Power in the modern age is no longer held by the strongest voice or the sharpest sword. It belongs to the one who can shape perception without being seen. Control today is not about dominance, it is about influence, and influence is psychological warfare disguised as connection. In a world overflowing with information, attention has become the new throne, and those who can capture it direct it and distort it. Rule quietly while others shout into the void. The psychology of control begins with understanding one truth. People do not think independently, they think collectively, through suggestion, repetition, and emotion. Whoever commands these currents commands society itself. Control is no longer forced, it is invited. The most powerful no longer need to impose their will by force of law or violence. They simply lead others to believe that their will is their own. They shape desire subtly, embedding ideas so deeply that obedience feels like freedom. The greatest form of control is not to make people obey, but to make them want what you want. This is done through the careful manipulation of perception, the creation of narratives, and the mastery of emotional language. Control is not achieved through orders, but through influence so subtle it feels invisible. The world today lives under the illusion of freedom. People speak as if they think for themselves, but their thoughts are shaped by what they consume, what they see, and what they are told to care about. The powerful understand that control begins with attention, and attention is captured not through truth but through emotion, outrage, fear, and admiration. These are the levers of modern control. Emotion overrides logic, and once emotion takes hold, reason becomes irrelevant. Those who know how to provoke feeling can direct entire crowds while standing silently behind the curtain. Information itself has become a weapon. The powerful do not hoard it, they flood the world with it. Confusion is the new form of control. When people are overwhelmed by too much information, they seek simplicity, they seek guidance, they seek someone who appears to know what's real. The master of control becomes that voice of certainty. By creating chaos and then offering clarity, they position themselves as saviors, as anchors in the storm they themselves created. This tactic is ancient, yet in the digital age it has become divine. People no longer ask for truth, they ask for relief from confusion. The psychology of control is not about domination, but about prediction. It requires knowing what people fear, what they crave, what they envy, and what they run from. It is about seeing patterns before others do, and using those patterns to direct behavior. In every crowd, there are invisible strings: status, belonging, validation, and identity. The powerful pull these strings without letting the puppets see the hand. They craft environments that guide choice, limited options disguised as freedom. The illusion of choice is the most elegant form of obedience. Every word, every symbol, every image that surrounds us is a tool of control. The truly powerful never speak too much, they allow suggestion to do their work. Suggestion is the seed of belief. Once planted, it grows quietly inside the mind until it becomes indistinguishable from one's own thoughts. This is why subtlety is the soul of influence. A direct command provokes resistance, a gentle hint creates cooperation. People resist control only when they can see it. Invisible control, however, feels like self-direction, and that is the ultimate victory. The masters of perception understand that control thrives on contradiction. They never present one version of themselves. They present several, each tailored to the audience. They appear strong to the fearful, gentle to the broken, moral to the righteous, rebellious to the disillusioned. In truth, they are none of these things, but by becoming what others need to see, they gain loyalty without force. People follow those who reflect their own desires, not those who challenge them. Control, therefore, is the art of reflection, the manipulation of identity until others see themselves in you. In this psychological battlefield, silence is as powerful as speech. Those who understand timing can rule conversations, movements, and markets. The wise know when to remain still, when to release information, and when to allow others to destroy themselves through overexposure. The psychology of control depends on patience. Impulsiveness exposes intent, silence conceals it. To control perception, one must never appear desperate to do so. The quiet leader, the restrained voice, the one who speaks last, these are the figures who hold true power. Their calmness radiates authority, while others exhaust themselves proving it. Fear and validation are twin forces that sustain control. People fear isolation more than death, and they crave validation more than truth. The powerful weaponize both. They use fear to push and validation to pull. They create enemies to unite people and praise to enslave them. They offer belonging to those who conform and exile to those who resist. This psychological rhythm, fear, relief, reward, keeps the masses in motion, eternally reacting, never questioning. The moment a population begins to feel comfortable, the cycle restarts. The wise ruler knows that control requires perpetual imbalance. Modern society believes that transparency and honesty create equality, but in truth, visibility creates vulnerability. Those who reveal too much of their plans, emotions, or weaknesses lose control of their narrative. The truly powerful reveal only what reinforces their image and conceals their intent. They allow people to see just enough to build trust, but never enough to understand the structure of their power. Mystery attracts loyalty because people are drawn to what they do not fully comprehend. The psychology of control thrives on mystery, for what is not understood cannot be challenged. In this new age, control is not seized, it is engineered. It does not shout, it whispers. It does not demand obedience, it creates it voluntarily. It does not conquer territory, it conquers attention. Those who master the psychology of perception command armies without soldiers, influence without authority, and loyalty without oaths. They bend reality not by force, but by belief. Belief carefully planted, nurtured, and disguised as truth. Every human action, whether noble or corrupt, is born from two roots: fear and desire. These are the twin forces that have governed humanity since the dawn of power. The wise do not attempt to erase them, they learn to command them. To understand people is to understand what they dread losing and what they crave to gain. Once those 2 points are known, their behavior becomes predictable, their loyalty becomes negotiable, and their will becomes pliable. The masses are not moved by reason, they are moved by feeling. The strategist manipulates these feelings not through cruelty or indulgence, but through precision. He gives people the illusion of choice while their emotions dictate the path he has already prepared. Fear is the oldest and most reliable instrument of control. It requires no logic, only imagination. People fear uncertainty, loss, humiliation, and exclusion. They fear the unknown future more than the painful present. The master of fear does not need to harm, he only needs to suggest the possibility of harm. Suspense is more powerful than punishment. When people live under the shadow of potential danger, they become compliant, seeking protection even from the very hand that threatened them. In this way, fear binds tighter than chains because it makes the prisoner hold the lock himself. The art lies in maintaining just enough fear to keep people alert, but never enough to make them rebel. Excessive terror breeds chaos, but controlled anxiety breeds obedience. Desire, on the other hand, is the flame that drives civilization forward. It is the reason people submit, work, fight, and even betray. To awaken desire is to awaken hunger, and hunger blinds judgment. The strategist never gives people what they desire outright, he keeps it slightly out of reach. Fulfillment ends pursuit, and pursuit is the essence of control. The powerful create symbols of success, beauty, and prestige that can be desired but not easily possessed. They build hierarchies that promise advancement, yet never fully deliver it. They understand that people are addicted not to possession, but to the hope of it. By offering glimpses of reward, they ensure endless devotion. The balance between fear and desire must be mastered with precision. Too much fear paralyzes, too much desire corrupts. When blended, they form the perfect equilibrium of control. The powerful use fear to restrict and desire to release. They make people afraid of losing what little they have, while simultaneously desiring what lies just beyond their grasp. This psychological tension keeps societies functioning, armies marching, and markets turning. People obey not because they are forced to, but because they are trapped between longing and dread, unable to rest in either state. In politics, fear and desire are the silent engines of persuasion. A leader promises safety while warning of danger. He presents himself as the protector against chaos, the provider of prosperity, the cure to anxiety. The crowd follows not because of logic, but because of emotional equilibrium, the comforting belief that one man holds the key to both their fears and their dreams. The strategist understands that people do not need truth, they need assurance. To inspire devotion, he must appear to control both threat and promise. By managing these two emotions, he becomes indispensable. In love, in commerce, in leadership, the same law applies. Those who can awaken desire while subtly reminding others of what they stand to lose hold unshakable influence. A merchant sells not a product, but a dream. A ruler governs not through law, but through the fear of disorder. A lover maintains fascination not by affection alone, but by the quiet suggestion that affection can be withdrawn. Absence becomes power, mystery becomes leverage. Desire thrives on uncertainty, and fear maintains that uncertainty. The more unpredictable one appears, the more others become dependent on their favor. The strategy of fear and desire also operates internally. The powerful use it upon themselves, mastering self-discipline by turning fear into a teacher and desire into a compass. They fear mediocrity, not failure. They desire mastery, not comfort. Ordinary minds are enslaved by their impulses. Strategic minds enslave their impulses and turn them into tools. To rule others, one must first rule oneself. Control of emotion is the first conquest in the empire of power. The untrained will rush toward pleasure and away from pain. The trained will use both to build influence and endurance. The masters of fear and desire understand that symbols hold more influence than force. A symbol can evoke devotion or terror with a single gesture. Nations are ruled by flags, movements by slogans, followers by icons. These are emotional codes that bypass logic and penetrate the subconscious. To create a symbol that awakens both admiration and intimidation is to create eternal power. When people revere you and fear you simultaneously, their loyalty becomes unbreakable, for they cannot decide whether to love or escape you. That confusion is your advantage. To be adored without being feared makes one weak. To be feared without being admired makes one despised. The art lies in merging both until they become indistinguishable. In the digital realm, this strategy has found its most fertile ground. The architects of influence understand that algorithms are nothing more than mechanical reflections of human fear and desire. Every click, every scroll, every purchase is guided by what people wish to gain or what they wish to avoid. The invisible rulers of this new order do not command armies, they command impulses. They create cycles of anticipation and anxiety, notifications that excite, deadlines that pressure, images that provoke envy. In this ecosystem, emotion is the new economy, and those who understand how to harvest it possess more control than any king of old. Fear and desire are not opposites, they are partners in manipulation. Together, they form the rhythm of human behavior, the heartbeat of every relationship, every economy, every power structure. The wise never underestimate them. They learn to wield them like twin blades, one to guard, one to seduce, each capable of ruling without words. The modern age believes itself free from the games of kings and courts, yet it remains chained to the same old dance. Only the costumes have changed. The throne has been replaced by the spotlight, the crown by the verified badge, the royal court by followers and fans. Yet the essence of power remains untouched: perception, manipulation, and control. The world now worships visibility, and those who can craft the illusion of significance command more authority than those who possess true substance. We live not in an age of enlightenment, but in a new renaissance of power, one where the art of influence has become more refined, more deceptive, and infinitely more dangerous. In this new order, conquest no longer requires armies, it requires narratives. Empires are built not on land but on belief, and belief spreads faster than any soldier can march. The powerful no longer rule through decree, but through suggestion, shaping collective thought through symbols, images, and emotion. The old rulers controlled territory, the new ones control attention, and attention once captured is harder to reclaim than any lost city. Every gesture, every word, every silence is part of the theater. For modern power is performance, and the audience decides who the king shall be. The new renaissance favors those who can play both artist and manipulator. The artist creates beauty, the manipulator gives it purpose. To rise above the crowd, one must master both creation and concealment. Authenticity is a weapon when used selectively. The masses crave what appears real, but the wise know that reality is too raw to be consumed directly. So they distill it, polish it, shape it into a vision that appears true but is carefully designed to persuade. This is not deceit, it is evolution. In the age of exposure, the ability to craft perception has become the highest form of intelligence. The new powerful do not shout their greatness, they let others echo it for them. They plant ideas like seeds and let the world water them through repetition. They understand that control does not come from assertion but from orchestration. Every trend, every movement, every viral thought begins with a silent spark, a whisper from those who know how to guide collective will. The renaissance of power rewards the quiet architect, the invisible hand that turns chaos into opportunity. To the untrained eye, it appears as luck. To the strategist, it is design. In the new era, morality itself has become a stage. Virtue is displayed, not practiced. Outrage is marketed, not felt. The same tactics that once ruled kingdoms now govern digital empires. Leaders rise by manipulating empathy, by turning public emotion into leverage. They create villains to appear heroic, conflicts to appear necessary, and causes to appear divine. The old monarchs commanded loyalty through fear. The modern rulers command it through identity. They convince people that supporting them is not a choice but a reflection of self. In this, they achieve a deeper control than any tyrant ever could. The new renaissance of power thrives on ambiguity. The wise no longer declare absolute truths, they offer interpretations. Certainty provokes resistance, but mystery inspires devotion. To remain untouchable, one must exist in the gray, never fully known, never fully understood. Ambiguity creates fascination, and fascination is a leash that the curious hold willingly. The powerful of this age have learned to exist as enigmas, allowing others to project meaning onto them. They are mirrors reflecting the hopes and fears of their audience, gaining power from the very minds they manipulate. Visibility has become the new currency. Every post, every word, every image contributes to the empire of perception. The ones who understand this treat visibility not as exposure, but as architecture. They build layers of meaning, crafting a legend around themselves piece by piece. Yet they never reveal the entire structure, for mystery sustains attention. Those who reveal too much fade into the ordinary. Those who reveal too little vanish into obscurity. The balance between exposure and secrecy defines modern mastery. To rule this era, one must know when to shine and when to disappear. The new battlefield is not fought with swords but with symbols. Power now lives in algorithms, metrics, and the invisible tides of opinion. The strategist no longer needs to silence enemies. He simply makes them irrelevant. He buries them in noise, distracts the crowd, and redirects attention until truth itself loses value. Control of the narrative becomes control of reality. The renaissance of power does not destroy opposition, it dissolves it in distraction. This is the quietest tyranny, and the most enduring. The powerful of this age do not cling to institutions, they create their own ecosystems. They understand that the old structures, political, social, religious, are fragile illusions waiting to be replaced. The new rulers rise from influence, adaptability, and mastery of perception. They move fluidly across fields. One day an entrepreneur, the next a philosopher, the next a visionary. They are not defined by roles but by relevance. To them, identity is not fixed, it is a costume, worn only as long as it serves purpose. They evolve faster than society can categorize them, and that speed is their shield. The new renaissance is not a return to old glory but a rebirth of old cunning. Those who succeed in it understand that power is not inherited, it is designed. They design their image, their narrative, their enemies, and their legacy with the precision of a painter and the patience of a ruler. They know that history belongs not to the honest but to the compelling. The world may praise transparency, but it follows charisma. And charisma, in its purest form, is controlled illusion, a flame that burns brighter than truth, yet never reveals the source of its light.